using mark price. Now you have the stop price next. The stop price is you're going to wait for a certain price to be hit and then execute a market order. So just like how we talked about the limit order, where you put in a price, let's say we want to sell at $64.50, you won't sell right now. You won't sell at $63.99.5. You'll wait for the buys to go up to $64.50 and then sell. With a stop market, you can also do that same kind of thing, except execute a market order. So let's say for some reason, let's think about it another way. Instead of waiting for the price to get up to $64.50 and then sell, let's say you're waiting for Bitcoin to break out. Bitcoin's been moving sideways for quite a long time. You're expecting it to move up in the near future, and you're looking for a price jump from 6,400 to 7,000. And let's say that your analysis and your prediction is that once Bitcoin breaks 6,600 or 6,700, it's going to jump up to 7,000 pretty quick. In that case, you'd want to put a stop market order in to make sure that once it does start breaking out, you can jump in immediately with a market order and ride it up to whatever price you think it's going to go. The same as the opposite. If you think it's going to, let's say you're thinking if it goes back down to 6,000 and it breaks 6,000, it's going to fall to 5,000. You can do the same thing in the opposite direction. What you would do, for instance, if you think it's going to break up, I'm going to do a quick example. If you think it's going to go to 7,000 if it breaks 6,600, what you can do is do a stop market order, have your stop price be, let's say, 66.01, put in your quantity, let's say 100 contracts, and what's going to happen is if you hit buy, it's going to wait until the price reaches 66.01, and then as soon as it reaches 66.01, it's going to market execute, buy the next possible price for 100 contracts. This is a way you can kind of expect or kind of front run, especially when you're away from the computer and not watching, or if you're sleeping. I do this all the time if I'm sleeping and I'm expecting a certain move. I'll put in stop market orders to be prepared for sudden drops. Then you can also pair that with a second stop market order or a limit order, market order, whatever you want it to be, to then sell that. So let's run through a very a basic explanation or an example. Try to follow along. Obviously, if you're having trouble, I'm going to try and do it slowly, but if you're having trouble, rewind, rewatch. This is a pretty fundamental way that people use these orders to really profit a lot, especially when they're sleeping or away from the screen, that is. So let's say one situation, again, you think that if the price of Bitcoin reaches 6,600, it'll then shoot up to 7,000. What you're going to want to do is put a stop market order in at, let's say, 66.01 or 6,600 flat, whichever you want it to be, for a certain number of contracts and hit buy. If it reaches 66.01, you're going to buy 100 contracts, but then you have to set up some way for it to sell once it reaches 7,000. So what you can do, expecting it to get to 7,000, you would input your stop market order. So like this, my order has been submitted and you can see it down at the bottom. My stop is set to buy once it reaches 66.01 for 100 contracts. What I can do then is go to market. Not market, limit, and do a 100 contract sell at 7,000. So what that's going to do is we can see at the bottom, my stop is open to buy 100 contracts at 66.01, and once that gets filled, the next move would be to 7,000, I think. So it would sell those 100 contracts at 7,000, locking in that $400 or $399 profit. Does that kind of make sense? Hopefully it does. Again, rewind and rewatch, re-listen if it doesn't, and of course, ask me questions if it's still not clear. But basically, that's as simple as it gets. You can pretty much prepare yourself for different scenarios, and it can go both ways. And you can, put in stops for both buys and sells. So if you wanted to, we saw the example for 6,600 to 7,000. You can do the same thing at the same exact time. Let's say if it drops to 6,200, you think it's going to drop to 58. You can put in a stop market at, let's say, 61.99 for 100, do a sell, and then a limit at 5,800 buy, and you can see under our do a sell stops, we're going to be selling if the price gets here, and then buying it back to cover that short position at 5,800. You can literally set these up in both directions at the same time and be able to profit both ways. Now, the one downside is if it doesn't quite reach that price, well, and it goes against you, you could end up losing, of course. There's always going to be risk involved. You can always end up losing. Your price can get filled and never reach your limit. But hopefully at that point in time, when your price is filled, and hopefully, it keeps moving in your direction, when you do wake up or when you look at your screen again, you'll be in profit anyway. You can close it out manually if you'd like. That tends to be how it works out. Obviously, it doesn't work out 100% of the time. It's not guaranteed. The price can go anywhere. So that's what a lot of people use to benefit from being away from the screen and benefit from price moving in either direction. I would suggest doing smaller price gaps. If you're getting filled at 6,600, maybe put in a limit for at least some of your contracts at 67. So let's say we want to do a stop market to buy at 6,600. And let's say we want to do 500 contracts. And what you can do is you can do a limit order at, let's say, since we did 66, let's do a limit order at 67 for 250 contracts. So we'll sell half our position if it reaches our profit region. So we'll buy at 6,600 and sell half at 67, taking half profits. We're locking in profits. We're taking some of that money off the table. We're paying ourselves, which is what you always want to be doing. And we can let the rest ride for however long it goes. Obviously, you'll want to put in further stops to make sure you're locking in profit. This isn't going to run against you, but you guys can kind of get the idea of where we're going with this. And the same is going to be the same for the stop limit orders. The thing is, you have one more field. It's going to be the exact same thing, our mark or index price, your stop price, which is what's going to trigger the order going live, your quantity, and then the price you want to set at that limit order. So let's say that once the price, breaks 6,600 again, once it goes up to 6,600, you think it's going to go to 7,000. However, you think that once it goes to 66, maybe it's going to drop back down to 65. So what you can do is put in, let's say, an order for a stop price of 6,600 for a quantity of, 500 contracts. And you're going to have a limit price of 6,505. Hit buy. What's going to happen is, let me explain this to you real quick. Once the price reaches 6,600, this order will become active. And it'll execute a limit order. I'm sorry, not execute. It'll place a limit order at 6,505. When the price reaches 6,600, it will put in a limit order at 6,505, meaning you will not buy unless the price is this or better, meaning this or lower. So if the price goes to 6,600, your order activates and it keeps going to 7,000, your order won't actually fill because you're waiting for it to drop to 6,505. It's the same case for the opposite as well. If you're looking to sell, if you're waiting for the price to drop, let's say to 6,000, but then have a short price or a short entry at 6,100, you would expect the price to drop to 6,000, then jump back up for you to enter at a better entry, 6,100, and then fall back down. Hopefully that makes sense. This can be a very confusing topic for a lot of people. It definitely takes a little bit to kind of wrap your mind around it. Unfortunately, this is probably the best I can describe it to you. It may take a little bit of practice. I would suggest if you're going to be doing this, do it with one contract. One contract is really not going to do anything for you. It's going to be a test amount. But test amounts are much better than wasting a bunch of money trying to figure it out with, a real size trade. Definitely start doing, do one or two each way with test amounts. See how it works, see where you get executed with both stop market and stop limit, and get an idea of how it works, and then step your way up from there. I know it may sound a little redundant, or a lot of people are not very patient when it comes to trading, but patience is definitely key. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Eliminate greed, eliminate emotion, and third, and most importantly, probably, is patience. If you have those three things, no greed, no emotion, and lots of patience, you'll do very well in trading. I guarantee it. All it takes is some practice in, and just maintaining those three fundamental rules, and you're going to do just fine. It's really, really not that hard once you get the hang of it and put the time and effort into learning. So really, that's all there is to it. Hopefully, this kind of sums it up for you guys. I know KZ was requesting that. Specifically to you, KZ, if you have any more questions, please reach out to me. I can do a follow-up for you, or I can try and draw up some examples also. But this is pretty straightforward in my eyes. I know I have 3 or 4 years, probably about 4 years now of experience in both, or all three stock markets, forex and crypto now. So this comes a little easier to me having more experience. But if anything is unclear for you, please let me know. I'll draw you up some examples. I'll do what I can, make sure it's very clear for you. And again, start with a very small quantity, give it a test run, see how it goes for you, and go from there. But that's all we're going to do for this video. I'll be posting some other videos on YouTube today and tomorrow as well. I'm going to try and get in the habit, a better habit, of posting once a day or once every other day. I've been traveling so much for work. It's been really annoying, truthfully. It's been sucking me away from this, and I feel pretty bad for not giving you guys constant content. So I'm going to try and do my absolute best in giving you more content and providing you with more of my time, even when I'm traveling. I'm going out and getting the new Galaxy Note. I'm dropping a decent amount of money to get that. That way, if I'm at the airport or something, I can use the little stylus pen and drop some charts and do a quick video for you guys, even if I'm sitting at the airport or somewhere remote where I don't have my computer. So I'm going to do everything in my power to give you guys more content. I hope you appreciate